to get ready. It's time to get ready. Time to get ready. Time to get ready. Whoa, wake up. It's time to get ready. Oh wow. It's time to get ready. Wake up. It's time to get ready. Time to get ready. Time to get ready. Whoa, wake up. It's time to get ready.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is
time to get ready. Time to get ready. Time to get ready.
Diplomacy Clothing, negotiate with style. With Diplomacy Clothing, we are not wearing Diplomacy clothes today because we are previewing our respective teams' Week 1 matchups. It's preview time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll come up with a name for this at some point in the future. But for now, it's called preview time.
If you guys have any ideas, please save us.
Let me go first because I've got a lot on my chest over my squad.
Okay.
I've got a lot on my chest. We're playing the Buffalo Bills. Jets fans, rise up because this is probably the one chance we'll have all year to rise up.
Because, no, poor guy.
Before our bye week, this is our one chance because this is a rough schedule. We're starting off on the road in Buffalo. Last year they came to us. We started off hot. Lev Bell got his first touchdown as a Jet. We were looking good. And what happened? We didn't have a kicking game. We didn't have a kicking game until halfway through the season. Now we won. Now we had a kicking battle, and Sam Ficken won it for us this year. He got signed halfway through last year. I have no idea where he came from.
Neither do I.
I've never heard of Sam Ficken before last year.
Oh, what about that? Who the heck is that guy?
So apparently he's a kicker. So now he won the battle. Surprise, surprise, because he was with the team last year. Doesn't surprise me. He's around 80% accurate, which is fine, which is better than having no kicker miss all the field goals and all the extra points. So that's fine. That was the highlight of our last year. Just having a kicker make an extra point and not hit the rails. Just that's it. This Jets O-line was one of the worst Jets offensive lines in the NFL last year. They ranked 28th as a whole. The whole entire offensive line, they ranked 28th in the league. There's 32 teams in the league, mind you. They ranked 28th. So that didn't bode well for Mr. I don't know how to sanitize my hands, Sam Darnold, with his mononucleosis, the kissing disease.
No, he's a good man. He means well.
He's young. He's young, and he's already getting that Mark Sanchez habits. I don't like it. But the Bills, their passing was 26. Now, during our Super Bowl preview picks, when we went through division by division, I mentioned how Josh Allen loves the social distancing with his wide receivers because he'll throw it well over 6 feet in front of them or behind them. Who knows? He's not very accurate with his balls. They're hoping that Stephon Diggs is fast enough to catch those overthrown balls. That's the hope with the Buffalo Bills. The Jets' pass defense, they were third last year with Jamal Adams, but also without C.J. Mosley. So with Bradley McDougall coming in with the trade with Jamal Adams, you have to wonder, right now the talk is Marcus May is no longer a free safety. He has transitioned to strong safety, Jamal Adams' old position, and he's been impressing at camp. So my wonder is, can that top 3 secondary keep up? They have Nate Harrison back. They have these key cornerback pieces like Nate Harrison, who was part of the Colts roster before we traded for him. And Joe Douglas, he's done some moves. He's been very impressed with the offensive line this past offseason during training camp. So that is the key for the New York Jets. I still think the Bills are going to go away with this 28-24 because I still am not 100% sold on the New York Jets offense. Yes, Lev Bell is going to have a lot more holes, but unless you're giving the ball to Lev Bell 30 times this game, you're not going to win. And Adam Gase has been very adamant on lowering Bell's carries. Now, remind me what made Bell so great in Pittsburgh. Was it the least amount of carries he got, or was it the most amount of carries he got? Because I'm pretty sure the answer is the most.
Yeah.
And you have Frank Gore there. You have Michael Perrine. 2 very good running backs. We don't know what the rookie Perrine is going to do, but he's going to basically be the young Frank Gore. But it can't be a running back by committee for the Jets. It looks like it's going to be a running back by committee led by Lev Bell. I don't like that one bit, which is why I think the Jets are going to lose 28-24. They'll score more points than they usually do. But I think the lack of weapons outside of Crowder and Perryman is going to be very, very clear. Denzel Mims, I don't think is going to be 100% for this game. So you can't even see if Denzel Mims is going to be that guy that you want stretching the field to basically be the number one receiver you want. And I think this is going to there's going to be a lot of bright spots for the Jets, but then you're going to see the obvious holes that are still there for this young rebuilding team.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with the fact that Denzel Mims being injured is going to kind of limit what the Jets want to do offensively, because he's supposed to be the guy to help stretch the. After losing Robbie Anderson, you look like, okay, maybe we bring him in. He'll help open up space to fill for Sam Darnold. Hopefully, they'll get Le'Veon Bell more and involved in the pass catching, because that's what makes Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
It's not the fact that he's just a patient ass runner who just waits for holes and then hits some, pass. But he's also one of the best slot receivers there is in football. And like you said, for whatever reason, I don't know why Adam Gase is so keen on not utilizing him. I don't think he wants to tie his offense solely into Le'Veon Bell. Because even when he was in Miami, he wasn't that kind of guy. He wanted to kind of like get everyone going. He wasn't just a one pony kind of guy. But when you have
apparently Adam Gase hasn't looked at his roster, because apparently you only have one pony. You don't have a multiple.
I was about to say, but when your only pony is Le'Veon Bell, you should probably give him the ball. You should probably do that. And I mean, I'm hoping for you guys' sake that you guys can exploit some issues that the Bills defense had against the rush as far as it came to touchdowns. Because they gave up like 12 touchdowns against the run last year.
Yes.
Which bodes well if you're Le'Veon Bell. You're like, great. Averaging, I think they allowed about like 4.3 yards a carry, which is about league average. Mm-hmm. But when you got a Le'Veon Bell who's top 10 running back in all of football, he should be able to exploit some things that they do defensively. So I would like them to, at least early in the game, get Le'Veon Bell going. Get him a couple early touches. Just let him touch the football. Le'Veon Bell is one of those kind of guys. He's a volume kind of guy. You keep him involved, and it'll pay off for you in the long term. You did say Josh Allen's not that guy. You don't seem to be too keen on Josh Allen.
I'm not on the hype train. Not yet.
But when you're playing the Jets secondary, I don't think you have to be on the money, because there's so many open holes there. You don't necessarily need to have to pinpoint anything. It should theoretically just be there for you. So I like the Bills to win this one. I do. And I think Sam Darnold will be impressive. I think Sam Darnold going to go out there, and this will be the start of Sam Darnold's contract year, as you will put it, because like he's almost playing for the contract at this point. He needs this year if he wants to get paid. And I think he's going to look to exploit some things that the Bills defense. The great thing is it's a divisional game. So he's seen the Bills defense. He knows what Sean McDermott wants to do defensively to, limit him. He knows they got, he knows Micah Hyde's tendencies, Jordan Poyer's tendencies, he knows how the pass rush likes to get home. And, so I think he's going to be able to do some things to make this a competitive game, at least at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I just think the talent will, eventually override some of the things that Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell going to be able to do. I think it'll be probably, like I said, it'll be close at first. I think the final score will be something like 21-14 kind of thing. One score game, but a game that was a lot closer, like early in the game. Like I could see it being maybe even if it's 7-7 going into the third. Kind of thing. Like it'll be a competitive game. I don't think either team's going to run away with this one. I'll be shocked if it did.
I just want to make a correction. I believe I said the bye week's week 5. No, the bye week is week 11. But let me read you the Jets' opponents after the Bills. It's the 49ers at home, Then you go on the road to Indianapolis. Then you're home for the Broncos, home for the Cardinals, and that's up to week 5.
Okay. All
So
right. Yeah,
I could see Denver possibly losing, but then again, Drew Lock is apparently money lock.
Yeah.
So
Big
he's
money
all
lock.
money.
Yeah.
Colts, I mean, I mentioned how Phillip Rivers has an interception problem. You gotta pray if you're playing the Colts, especially in their home field, that Phillip Rivers doesn't differentiate from white and green and white and blue and green and white, because that's what you have to hope for, that Phillip Rivers turns it over so much that the Colts lose.
Yeah.
The 49ers, depending on how Jimmy Garoppolo plays, that's going to be very tough, especially against that defense.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets did beat the 49ers 2 years ago when Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt. That's the key difference.
Yeah.
So, but they have looked at Kyle Shanahan's playbook in the past.
Yeah, they've seen it. They know what he likes.
They've seen it. They know. But this time they're hosting the 49ers. So the 49ers might get that West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
That
it's always those weird games.
Game.
They're
traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah. Where those West Coast teams come over.
It's up in the air, but are the Jets talented enough to beat them and then take advantage of that situation? I don't know.
Maybe.
The Cardinals are always that dark horse, but they also have holes around their team. The big question for this game and pretty much this season is, can Adam Gase game plan well enough and call the right plays for his team? Because we know Greg Williams, he's going to bring the best out of everyone on the defense. You could have no names playing at corner. They had no names playing at corner last year, and Greg Williams made them look like all pros almost some of the time. And that's just speaking to what Greg Williams does as a defensive coordinator. So you have faith in Greg Williams at defense. It's Adam Gase and the offense, and you see Adam Gase with these. They went 6-2 the end of last year with Sam Darnold. There was obvious talk about among Jets fans that had Sam Darnold been healthy, they could have been a wild card team. This is a very tough season now, very tough schedule, and they play Kansas City week 8 after they host the Bills on week 7. So I think for this game, it'll be closer, which is why I give the Bills 28-24, because I do think it's going to be a one-score game where Josh Allen might pull off a Houdini and win in the last minute after the Jets are up 24-21 entering the 4th.
Okay, I can see something like that happen.
So I see something like that where I don't see the Bills as outright dominating the Jets, because the Bills do have holes that the Jets, if they're wise enough, and that's going to be the key thing. If the Jets pull off this victory, I'll be the happiest man of week 1, because we pulled off a win against who everyone is picking to win the division, except for me, of course. Yeah, I didn't pick them to win the division. I didn't pick them to make the wild card. Make sure you hit that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the I. If you're listening on Spotify, pause this video, watch our NFL picks, or listen to our NFL picks, because I go off on Josh Allen.
He definitely did.
And I'll go off on him again. This is a Bills passing offense that ranked 26th. I don't think Stephon Diggs gets them past 15 with Josh Allen's accuracy. You talk about, and this is where C.J. Mosley opting out of the season hurts for the Jets, because you have Devin Singletary as the starting running back for the Buffalo Bills, and he fumbles like crazy. For the Bills to succeed and win the AFC East for the first time since Jim Kelly, they need Singletary to not fumble the ball. Now, I don't know about you, but fumbling is very tough to teach someone not to do. Because once you have Butterfingers, it's very difficult to get rid of those Butterfingers.
I think the Bills are kind of a little bit low on Devin Singletary. Like, he has great pass catching ability. Yeah. But I see their draft choice in Zach Moss as like his selection. I think he's gonna be what Frank Gore was for them last year. I think he'll handle a lot of the like traditional drop back, hand the ball off plays. I think when you see Devin Singletary in the game, it's kind of going to be one of those hints that they're probably throwing the ball because he's not going to be in there many a times. I think he'll probably average somewhere about 6 to 10 carries a game, but I can see him getting more targets in the passing game because, like you said, he struggles holding onto the ball, and he doesn't have great vision for a runner. He's more, like I said, just a really good pass catcher. But I don't see the Bills running away. Any game the Bills win this year, I can't see them like outright just dominating. Because they're not that kind of team. They're not a team that has so much superior talent to anyone else that they're playing that they'll just put their foot on anybody. But do they have good enough players on their team, being coached well enough? And Josh Allen, can get hot some games. And, the game Josh Allen's hot, that's typically the games the Bills typically roll. Because he's not missing a lot of those throws like that you pointed out. Like he does overshoot a lot of, and that was the problem in Wyoming, his accuracy. That's what that was their biggest flaw. Like everyone, he has a wire of an arm. It's almost Matt Stafford-esque. Like he can fling that ball, but he struggles to control his accuracy at times. But I think I just think that Josh Allen is going to be more than enough for the Jets to handle. With C.J. Mosley opting out, with Jamal Adams not being there, they're still going to be trying to figure out who they are as a defense. I mean, you brought out Greg Williams, great defensive coordinator, and he's going to have these guys ready to play come week 1. But they're going to have to look for that new leader, that new voice in the huddle to be that guy to lead them. With no C.J. Mosley, will Avery Williams step up? Will he now be that guy with these key losses and him being the agent vet on the team? Do we dare say?
Okay, I agree. I concur with some of your points, but moving on, your Carolina Panthers, they will play. They are playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, how do you feel about your Panthers playing the newly Vegas Raiders at home?
Yes, at home. And unlike you, I don't have them making the playoffs. So I don't think they'll be that good. But could they beat us? For sure. Because they got one player that can cause our defense a lot of fits. That person being Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, against the run, we were atrocious last year. And we didn't do much to really address that. And we lost Luke Kuechly. Yeah. So you look at it like that and you're like, damn, we're going to be in a whirlwind of trouble. But we did go back to our 4-3 defense where we traditionally had a lot more success at. Okay. So I like that, which moved K'Wan Short back inside. So I think that will help with some of the struggling run issues that we had last year. It was our first year in the 3-4, and it was kind of like it was never a great fit for us. I never understood why we went that route, especially with Luke Kuechly being such a great rangy middle linebacker. I didn't see the need to have a 3-4. But I think we'll improve a little bit against the run just off the 4-3 switch alone. But will it be enough to contain Josh Jacobs? I don't think so. Derek Carr is good enough, in my opinion, to beat my secondary. A couple of interesting stats last year, George, is I'm not going to mention James Bradbury because he's no longer on the team.
Right.
If you look at it, we had Dante Jackson, presumably going to be our new number 1 corner. He had a 61% percentage completion rating against him. Now, is that great? No. But is that bad? No. So he's kind of smack dead in the middle. So I think he'll probably see a lot of action. He'll probably be guarding Henry Ruggs, if I had to assume. That'll probably be the matchup we will, just to try to get some of the speed that Henry Ruggs brings. Yeah. With, I believe, Raiders being without Tyrell Williams. Another problem I can see us having is Darren Waller. I don't see anyone on our defense who can really. Are we going to push Shaq Thompson on them? Is that what's going to be the game plan? Put our fastest linebacker against their tight end and hope he slows them down? Possibly. But when doing that, you take Shaq Thompson out of pass coverage and you open up potentially Derek Carr to throw the ball to other people to carve us up. So I think it'll be a competitive game. The Raiders' offensive line is a little bit better than what I think people get credit for. So I don't know how my defensive line, which is the strong point on my defense, how they would fare against that offensive line. But luckily we are home and the Raiders have to travel. So I give us a chance. I won't say we're totally out of the ballpark beating the Raiders. Um, it'll be tough. I'll pick us to win. I'll say this. I have us winning, but it'll probably be something like along the lines of like I don't see any team like outright and scoring a shit ton of points, So it'll probably be something like 17-10,
17-10?
17-14, something like that,
Okay. I
maybe
see your 17-14, and I raise you 20-17. Carolina.
okay.
And I
You
say
have
that
a-
only because the Raiders' pass defense last year was 31st. They did
Yeah,
not
abysmal.
have the best
Yeah.
pass defense. They had one of the worst pass defenses.
Yeah,
And I
and they
think-
didn't do much to address that.
And I think they did not do enough to address it. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to have the one game that every comeback player of the year candidate has, where they go off. Where they're going to go for and I don't think he's going to go touchdown crazy.
No,
I think he'll throw for well over 300 yards. And it's going to be to that point where, it's all Christian McCaffrey at this point.
And George, that's what the end part was for me.
Yeah.
Just started to talk to me, I'll let you get right back to it. But Christian McCaffrey was the swinging point there for me. Like, he's gonna be enough, I think, to account for 14 points. Now, whether does he score the 14, the 2 touchdowns himself, maybe not. But will he get us in close enough position to where maybe Teddy Bridgewater has a quick, post to DJ Moore, or Ian Thomas gets open over the middle, or Curtis Samuel's open underneath, that something, caused by Christian McCaffrey getting us to where we got to, opens up the possibility of us scoring. I think that could be the case. It's going to be easily the running back battle. Josh Jacobs is going to have to do a lot for Oakland. I mean, Las Vegas now. And Christian's going to have to do a lot for Carolina. But I'll let you finish making your point. But I agree with that. I like that.
I'm looking at the betting odds right now, and Las Vegas has the Raiders as 3-point favorites against your Carolina Panthers. And if you're telling me the Raiders are 3-point favorites against a Panthers team, that means you don't have much faith in the Raiders to try to really beat the Panthers. I actually have more faith in Teddy Bridgewater coming back.
I agree.
Having a great game with Christian McCaffrey right there.
And we have some weapons, bro. We have some weapons. A lot of people look at our offense and they don't see much. But we have DJ Moore as an emerging star. Curtis Samuel, who's among the fastest receivers in football. Robbie Anderson, who maybe Teddy Bridgewater doesn't push the ball down the field as much. But, if he sees the opportunity to possibly lay one out to Robbie Anderson, he'll take it. And Robbie Anderson can fly. Ian Thomas, a young athletic tight end. Yeah. We talked about Christian McCaffrey. We have some offensive weapons. It's the defensive side of that I'm worried about.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to change the 20-17. I'll change it to 28-17. To 27-17. I apologize.
Okay.
I'll give Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers an extra touchdown. Just because I'm looking more at the statistics with the Raiders defense last year, looking at what they did in the draft this year. I don't think they did enough. I don't think Derek Carr is going to be the answer, sadly, because I like me some Derek Carr. But I think Gruden is starting to
I think he needs a fresh start, and so does Gruden.
Yeah. And I think Gruden is leaning his way towards trying to find a reason to get rid of Derek Carr and not re-sign him and get rid of his huge contract and start anew in Las Vegas with that crazy stadium. Now, you guys play Tampa Bay week 2. You are on the road. What do you think if what we both predict is true and Carolina rolls over the Raiders at home, going on the road to Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady? How do you feel about that game?
George, if we can start the season off 1-0 against the Raiders, I look at our schedule, and I know I was very harsh and critical against us, and I said we won't win many games, but that's not due to I don't believe we don't have talent. I just look at our division of having the Falcons, who I have winning the division. The Saints, who, although neither one of us hasn't won the division, still could win the division, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are Super Bowl favorites. We have 3 of this might be the hardest division in all of football. Just might be.
Next to the NFC West, I think.
So So like a Raiders game almost have to be listed as a must win if you're Carolina, because you mentioned we go to Tampa Bay, and that's going to be a tough outing. I don't expect us to win. I don't even really expect us to compete. But then we go to the Chargers, which should be another must win situation for us. They're going to be playing Justin Herbert or Tyrod Taylor. Neither one of them should be enough to strike fear in my defense, and neither one of them going to have an answer without Derwin James to stop C-Mac. So I look at that as another potential, win possibility. Then we face Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Those are the first 8 games of our season. And the only games I feel comfortable with us possibly winning are Las Vegas. I'm going to say it sometime. Las Vegas and Los Angeles. Those are the only 2 games I look at, and I'm like, man, those are probably winnable games. Even the Bears,
I could give you guys Week 6 in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm about to say that could be close. Yeah. That could be a winnable game.
Especially, I'm looking a little further down, like those 2 games against the Falcons, and they're your NFC South favorites to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals, depending on how Hopkins and Murray connect, they could be great. It looks to me, looking at this division, you guys might sweep or go 1-3 or 3-1 against the AFC West, with the exception of possibly Denver.
Yeah. I like our odds.
With the exception of Kansas City.
I like our odds against all the other teams in the NFC West. I do. Even Denver, which could be a tough out because we're facing Denver, but they come to us.
Yep.
So it's not like we have to travel to them, and so I like our odds there. It's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule, but Teddy Bridgewater is, he's always Teddy calm. He doesn't panic. He's gonna go out there and he's, what Teddy Bridgewater is. He gonna complete anywhere between 65 to like 70% of his passes. Probably throw for about 225 in that radius. Probably throw for 2 TDs, and he doesn't turn the ball over much. So he won't put our defense in stressful situations to where we're having to defend on short field often, which is the biggest weapon I think we're gonna have all season.
Yeah.
Not being able to take care of the ball, because as much acting as Christian McCaffrey sees, he doesn't really fumble the ball. He doesn't put the ball on the turf. So like we don't worry with him that he's going to start turning the ball over. And if we have Teddy Bridgewater, who we are certain throughout his career doesn't turn the ball over, we have a chance to compete, George, in a lot of games.
Yeah, and you guys made some improvements this year. I remember during the NFL draft, you really wanted them to take that
Isaiah
Simmons.
Yeah, because we needed. I thought we really needed that big cover safety linebacker hybrid. Especially since we just lost Luke Kuechly. But everything I've seen about Derrick Brown coming out of camp, I mean, he is lighting it up.
Yeah, and I told you that man is gonna do good things for your defense.
So, like, the more I read and the more K'Wan Short and him seem to be really dominating on the inside, it brings me back to our 2015, 2014. When we were rolling, and it was mainly due to what we were doing with our defensive line. I think Brian Burns, who had a great standout rookie year, is going to take another big leap this year. I think he could potentially see somewhere between 12 and a half to like 14 sacks. He's that talented of a pass rusher. I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if he goes up and has a breakout year. It's going to rely a lot on what just not turning the ball over and our defense, our pass rush keeping us in games, making quarterbacks uncomfortable. The good thing about Tom Brady is he's not a mobile quarterback.
Yep.
So we can get off the offensive, we can break down that pocket in the offensive line to help cover up a lot of the flaws that we have in the secondary. We can compete.
Oh no, you definitely can. You definitely can, especially against Tom Brady. If your defense steps up and gets to Tom Brady, we all know the way to beat Tom Brady is to put pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys can do that in week 2 after winning against the Raiders week 1, you guys could be the surprise 2-0 team going against San Diego.
See?
Los Angeles Chargers. But I want to reel it back to my New York Jets real quick. And we mentioned your rookie defensive tackle. I'm really excited to see Mekhi Becton. our left tackle. He's been getting a lot of praise in training camp. He's getting a lot of praise. Joe Douglas is getting a lot of praise for that selection.
Yeah.
So, and he really, I mentioned Adam Gase and his game plan. I mentioned Le'Veon Bell and that defense. Mekhi Becton really is the X factor here because he's going to be the main reason that there's going to be holes opening up for Le'Veon Bell. He's going to be the main reason Sam Darnold is staying upright and actually looking at the field, reading the defense. Because a big thing that happened last year is that Sam Darnold had no time to throw the ball. A lot of his throws were just quick chuck throws. One big play that I saw on Instagram from a Jets page is Sam Darnold moving forward into the pocket, and behind him is just a sea of defensive players as he tosses it to Robbie Anderson. And that's something, as a Jets fan, yeah, it looks cool because it's like, wow, this guy can throw under pressure. But you can't throw under pressure every single down.
No.
That's happened a lot last year. And Mekhi Becton, this is a completely different story, I think, from the Miami Dolphins Adam Gase era, because this is now a general manager and coach that are on the same page. Mekhi Becton is the big guy. I really wish Denzel Mims was 100% for this game because then you could really see, okay,
you could evaluate.
This is a guy that Gase and Douglas chose to be the premier guy in his
especially
offense.
with no like OTAs and no like preseasons. You want your young guys to, like, these are preseason games, especially these early games. You need them out there, you know.
And my big concern right now is that I mentioned again how there's outside of Perryman and Crowder, there really isn't no receivers. Why has Demaryius Thomas not been signed yet? We've mentioned it multiple times on this show. Demaryius Thomas, if you want to succeed with your young receivers, even receivers like Dante Moncrief, Braxton Berrios, Kevin White, I think they were thinking about signing at one point. Just all these random receivers that you're signing to play for the Jets. You need a guy like Demaryius Thomas who is cool with Adam Gase, who knows the playbook. He doesn't even have to get on the field that much. And he just brings you depth. And I don't know why Demaryius Thomas isn't signed yet, because I will tell you this, if Demaryius Thomas was on the team and then went through a full training camp before this Bills game, I would have picked the Jets to win against the Bills. Because now you have a Crowder, you have Perryman, you have Berrios as a slot guy who he looked really well, especially in that Dallas game last year in the slot. And you have Demaryius Thomas. Now you have it's not the most luxurious receiving core, but at least you have a top 4 receiving core where you can be like, all right, now we actually have to put some corners on there. Now it's not just on White to cover just one person and shut them all down, because we know if you shut down Perryman and Crowder, that offense it affects the offense really heavy. So I really want to see how Mekhi Becton does against actual defensive players, and not to say that the Jets defensive line isn't good, because they do have talent on that defensive line.
Oh, for sure.
But that Bills defense, especially against the run, they gave up over 100 yards, average more than 4 yards per carry. So this would be the ideal run Le'Veon like crazy game.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week, just take it easy with Le'Veon Bell. You don't have to give him 20 to 30 carries every single game, especially in a season like this where you're facing against the NFC West and you're gonna lose a minimum 4 games already because of the talent. And you're also playing the AFC West. You're playing Patrick Mahomes. You could go 2-2 against the AFC West, or you can go 1-3. You never know with the type of talent. But these are the games where you can say, all right, this Bills defense can't stop the run. We need to run it down their throats. Either with a combination of Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell needs minimum 20 touches. That's what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, for sure.
He needs 20 touches. If Frank Gore's going to play, he needs 5 to 10. So you get your 30 right there. But Frank Gore gets 5 to 10. Maybe Michael Perrine and Le'Veon Bell have a dual running back situation, and you can do an option on either or. There's a plethora of things you can do if you're the Jets, but it's up to Adam Gase. Becton and Gase are the big X factors right here, because this is Gase's year to show that, okay, we fixed the offensive line as best as we could, given the free agency players that were available, given the draft availability. We did the best we could. Now it's Gase's time to show that he is the head coach for this job, because you do not want a situation where we go, and right now the over-under is 6. I think it's 5 or 6 games for the Jets to win, because they won 7 last year. And it was miraculous that they even won 7 last year. And me personally, they need to win 8 or 9 games in order for this to be a successful season.
I agree. To build off of what happened
build
last
off
year.
what happened last year, you need to exceed your win total. I don't want to see a 5-11, 6-10 season, and then you say, "Well, Sam Darnold played really well." Well, why didn't you win games?
Exactly.
And that's going to be on Adam Gase, because if Sam Darnold plays a full season healthy, shows that he can play a full season and play well, but you still lose games, that's on Adam Gase.
For sure.
And I say Bills 28-24 because I don't think Adam Gase is going to call the right calls at the end of the game to get the Jets the lead. Now, if Adam Gase and the Jets win against the Bills this week 1, then I'll eat my words and I'll sing praises to Adam Gase.
I feel like if they win, it's going to be because they gave Le'Veon Bell those at least 18 to 20 touches that you needed to give him to be effective.
Yes.
Like you didn't give him 12 touches and expect him to score 6 times.
And the kind of media market you're in. You can't have a game where Le'Veon Bell only has 10 to 15 touches, where Frank Gore has 18. You can't have that kind of game.
No.
You can't have that kind of game.
You can't even have it where Frank Gore gets within like 5 touches of what Le'Veon Bell did.
And I say 5 to 10 only because I know exceeding 20 is going to be tough for Le'Veon Bell.
For sure.
So
and
that's excluding the rookie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like Frank Gore shouldn't be seen nowhere near touches where Le'Veon Bell is. Le'Veon Bell can't pay a hefty amount of money to go be that workhorse. You need 20 touches at least.
No, I completely agree. I've been preaching that from day one. I love the Frank Gore signing only because it brings that veteran leadership into the locker room. Because one, he's a veteran. He's been in this league a long time. 2, he's an Adam Gase guy. He loves Adam Gase, and you need that kind. I don't love Adam Gase, but if you bring a player into the locker room who loves Adam Gase, then you're going to be like, well, maybe we should listen to him, because Frank Gore, the guy who's in his mid-30s, still running the ball like he's 20. Is praising joy about Adam Gase. Maybe I should listen. And I think that's those kind of moves are the opposite of what's going on in Miami. I believe it was Kenny Stills who put out a tweet when he was with Miami.
Oh yeah.
And he said that Adam Gase actually reached out to him on the random and just apologized for how he handled the Miami situation. And how he prioritized certain players, certain schemes, with shipping Jarvis Landry out to Cleveland in the most disrespectful fashion at the time, just alienating everyone outside of Ryan Tannehill. And he apologized for that. Hopefully, this leads to a change in coaching as well, because Adam Gase, he's been around now. He's been around Sam Darnold for a full year. He knows how to get. He knows where Sam Darnold's strengths are. He knows where Sam Darnold's weaknesses are. And I'm still waiting to see where the potential is with Sam Darnold, because for 2 years now, he's been injury prone. Let's be real, he's been injury prone. He hasn't finished a whole season. He's in year 3. By this point, a lot of quarterbacks will get their max contract by the end. Which is why Jamal Adams had a big issue with the Jets, because they were ready to give him his money because of obviously Sam Darnold. You can't give your star safety the money before your star quarterback. So Sam Darnold and Adam Gase together have to step up this year, because you can't have Sam Darnold finish out his rookie contract and not get an extension. And you can't have Adam Gase lay an egg for another year, because now you have to go through a whole nother coaching carousel and hope that Sam Darnold doesn't lose any of his talent. He's very young, and he still has a lot to prove.
Yeah, I'm happy the Jets aren't like doing what Cleveland's doing with Baker Mayfield, or what a lot of organizations do with their young quarterbacks, and throw like 4 different coaches in them in 4 years. In fact, there's a lot to be said with like young quarterbacks working in a system they know and feeling comfortable, and they're giving Adam Gase and Sam Darnold time. Like, hey, all right, I already had a full year. You feel me? This is it. By now, you guys should know each other. Like if you're Adam Gase, you know what your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to Sam Darnold. Now it's up to you as the coach to put your your young quarterback who showed promise to
It's not about promise anymore. I don't want to see. Oh well.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I fully hear what you're saying. I'm just saying he showed promise because he's not a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
So like at this point, Adam Gase needs to put Sam Darnold in the position where we're not looking like, why is Sam Darnold, holding the ball when the pass rush is obviously coming. I don't need you guys running double moves on third and 9.
What I don't want to see is what happened his first year with Todd Bowles, where he clearly had an arm. He clearly had some receivers that could go deep, like Robbie Anderson, not Kotri, Quincy Enunwa.
Yeah.
Who else was there? I'm trying to remember who else was on that team. But basically, his first year, he had a couple receivers, and basically they were going to be the future of the receiving core for the Jets before when Nunua got hurt again. But basically, what they did is they did a lot of bubble screens. It's like that's not how you use Sam Darnold's potential. You don't throw a bunch of bubble screens just because your receivers can't get open. You have to create a scheme to have them get open.
Exactly. You got to run those pick routes. You have to get creative. Sometimes you might have to move a guy inside, although you don't want to play inside. Anyway, we're going to get you open. You have to. It's your job as a head coach to schematically get your guys open. You're not just going you don't have a Julio Jones. He's not just going to get open by himself. You don't have a Mike Evans. You don't have Mike Thomas. Like when you don't have a flat out stud receiver, it's on the coaching staff more than ever to schematically get your guys involved. And I'm upset that Adam Gase and Sam Darnold didn't get a full year's worth of work last year. So I would have loved to have seen what that looked like.
That 6-2 end showed me enough where it's like, all right, you clearly know how to utilize this player.
Mm-hmm.
And one last thing I'll say about the Jets, and we'll end it here. I love that Joe Douglas is building through the draft, because even though I mentioned how I would have loved to have Yannick Ngakoue as a Jet, even with the draft capital, Joe Douglas has been very firm on building through the draft.
Yep.
Now, does that mean that if the Jets go 5-11 or 4-12, that the leash is still going to be on Adam Gase? Because my concern is, if you are building through the draft and you're not winning games, how long do you keep Adam Gase? Because there's only so many 4-12, 5-12, 5-11, 6-10 seasons you can go through and say we're building through the draft, where you have to say, okay, well now our draft picks have to show their potential. A la Sam Darnold, he has to show that he's going into 2 years left. He's eligible for an extension. We should extend him by showing what he can do on the field. And I like building through the draft, but you can only do it for a certain amount of time. And how long of a leash does Adam Gase have?
All the teams that build through drafts still make key free agent signings. It may not be a blockbuster one, but you still pick up key pieces. Yes. Like right now, Demaryius Thomas re-signing would be exactly what the doctor ordered right now for the Jets.
Yep.
Another receiver that showed that he had some success with Sam Darnold. He knows Sam Darnold. He knows that against scheme. Why has he not been picked up yet? Why are you sending Sam Darnold in there against a Tre'Davious White-led secondary against the Bills with no receivers? You're almost it's like you're setting the guy up for failure.
Yeah, and you really don't. I'll be very, very displeased if this turns into a blowout against the Bills, where the Jets do everything wrong and the Bills do everything right. And you know what? If your prediction comes true and the Bills do win the AFC East, I wouldn't mind if it's just for this 1 year. But if you're telling me that throughout this whole first week 1 game, I don't see Sam Darnold making right decisions. Where now it's he doesn't have receivers. Well, you had a whole offseason. You had a whole draft. You had a receiver heavy draft, and you only chose one receiver.
You only got one.
You only had one. You chose an injury-prone cornerback in Bryce Hall, who, mind you, has a lot of potential, but he has to get on the field.
Field.
And that's what I want to see. I want to see this team compete where it's like, oh, well, maybe if we had this one extra piece, we could have beat them. I want to see, if we're going to lose, I want to see us lose close games. Hence the 28-24 score I gave them. The Jets are 6.5-point underdogs against the Bills, so they're not covering that spread.
No.
That's the way I see it. The Jets, they have talent. They don't have enough talent, I think, to make a playoff push. But I think they have enough talent to go 7-9 again or 8-8.
Compete.
But that's it. That's all we have for game previews today. If you're a Jets fan, if you're a Panthers fan, you should email us. In YouTube, the email is in the description. It's offthebenchyttv@gmail.com. Email us your Jets and Panthers questions. When we go over week 1 and preview week 2, we will answer those questions. Follow us on Facebook, where you can also find the link to our Spotify channel. Thank you to the 23 consistent Spotify listeners. Thank you for the over 100 streams on Spotify. We thank you so much. We appreciate and love every single one of you listeners. Thank you for following. Make sure to share it with your friends, YouTube viewers as well, all 63 of you. We love you. Subscribe and more. Follow us on Instagram to keep in contact on social media. We will have an official Twitter page soon, very soon. We're still working on it. But thank you for supporting us through all. If you enjoyed this segment, let us know. Email us any questions or comments. Can't wait to contact you guys. You take care.